The facts, ma'am, just the facts. That's a quote, or some people thought it was a quote, by the Sergeant Friday of Dragnet, the old TV show made more famous by Dan Aykroyd in later years. In this case, we're going to talk about doing good research, giving credit where credit's due, avoiding any type of crime and punishment that might be associated with misrepresenting information as your own, or just plain stealing stuff that belongs to other people. First, a little bit about me, Dr. Elmer Hall. I've done a lot of teaching, a lot of that adjunct until more recently, and MBA, DBA, and also done a lot of dissertation chair work, which is some serious research, obviously. I've been involved in a huge number of business plans, and business plans in various types, including economic development and sustainability planning, but also aspects of intellectual property, patents and such. But the intellectual property that's most relevant to us here is related to copyright, and we'll be bringing that into the conversation. So let's start with keeping you out of crime's way. If you're stealing stuff, which is pretty common now, people get stuff from the internet that may or may not be theirs to have. If you didn't buy the music, then it's pretty likely that you stole it or you got it from somebody who stole it. Same thing with all types of other types of copyrighted materials that are written, video, sound. Those types of things, you should be careful. And the pain and punishment depends on where you get it and how it's found out, but literally could be criminal, and it often is unethical. Here's the things that's going to be covered in this presentation. First off, big thing is to follow the evidence. Where did the facts lead you? It's a big part of making any type of intelligent decisions based on any type of research. The best information available, and of course giving credit where credit's due, using reliable sources, of course, is a good place to start with any type of research. We want to get you to avoid any type of stealing of various types, misrepresenting information as your own. And then talk about APA writing, which is just a style of writing, one of many, but turns out to be the most popular. Good facts, sound logic, all of that should lead to strong analysis and really good conclusions. Ethics in your research and research protocols, and we want to make everybody proud associated with the research, associated with a university or associated with a company such as mine doing business plans. Any type of research, a report for school, a thesis, a dissertation, or a business plan, the thing that happens is you want to start by gathering all the available information. And actually what you may find is that the best information may require you have to pay for it, but at least know where it is. So you gather the information, you organize it, and as you start to put the information together, working with the most reliable and best available information to you, as you start to put the information together, you find that the decisions tend to make themselves. They lead you to the treasure, or they lead you to a set of conclusions. In business plans, it's been amazing that the business plans actually just completely make the decisions tend to make themselves. So you want to give proper credit. So first off, the question is it common knowledge? Is it the first president of the United States? That's common knowledge. You really don't need to cite that or give it, indicate where that evidence came from. Now the 7th or the 10th president, maybe you might want to start to give sources, because I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem to be common knowledge. So as you move away from things that are completely common knowledge, which don't require citations, then you want to start to move to places where the facts can be well substantiated, and it's not you who we're relying on as the expert to give the information. You need to cite the facts. That means you need to give the indication where those facts came from. Any facts that are presented that are not cited must be yours as an expert. And that means that if you are presenting facts, then you need to demonstrate yourself as an expert before starting to put those types of facts into a paper or a business plan. Works taken from other sources, like tables and charts, you will often actually have to get permission from the author, from the owner of the copyright, before including them in published works like a book or a dissertation. Actually, let's talk about intellectual property. Patents are a monopoly granted by the government to you for revealing your invention. So patents can take several different forms. Then there's trademarks, which is when you use something, you trademark it so that people don't take that name. They know that you are the owner of that trademark and others can't take it directly from you. And then copyrights, which is really what's relevant here. Copyrights are a little unusual. They basically are the types of things that you would have artistically created. So it could be music, the types of things that you could see on videos, on soundtracks, or in printed form. Those are the types of things that are subject to copyright. Now, the unusual thing that's almost ungovernmental in nature is that you own the materials that you create at the moment in which you create them. So it's provided you designate them as copyrighted and they maintain that copyright for you or whoever it was commissioned for, it basically maintains copyright and the ownership is the copyright holder, often the inventor. Simply designate your works as copyrighted in all the places in which it starts to become available or exposed to the public. It's pretty easy to maintain the copyright. You simply keep the copyright notice of some type on all the instances of the materials. If you publish it, then the publisher will copyright it for you. If you put it in a magazine, likewise. It's also pretty easy for it to get into public domain, handed out at the mall, and with no copyright notice, and it starts to enter the public domain. If you want an additional level of security, then you can register your works at the Copyright Office and really with the Library of Congress, and that's where you'll get the ISBN number for a book, for example. While we're on it, let's talk a little bit more. The copyright is good and therefore remains copyrighted and not in the public domain for the duration of the individual's life until 70 years after they die, the last person who's in the copyright, the last author. Corporations, if it's registered to a corporation, would be 95 years. There was a new law, newer law, in 1998. There was a law referred to as the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. What that did was that extended 20 years from the death of an author, the duration in which the the copyright would hold. So basically that extended for 20 years Mickey Mouse's ears. So instead of 50 years from the death of Disney, it was 70 years. Okay, so we're all in agreement that we probably shouldn't be stealing. And as it pertains to copyright software, articles, writing, then it starts to get in the realm of intellectual property and copyright. So there are criminal issues, obviously. If you're doing knockoffs of people's work and not giving them credit, you steal their music and such. There's also various types of groups that will get involved to try and reduce the impact of, for example, software. There's organizations that try to minimize piracy, and of course, then there's the owners can actually come after you. They can sue you. That could be a company or individuals. In a college setting, you might get fired. And of course, students might get hit up for plagiarism. And the consequences can be of several types, but the consequences could have them ending up with no grades or 0 grades or even being expelled from the college. So the simple solution seems to be pretty obvious. Don't do it. Since APA is a writing style, it actually is also a very common publication submission style. So when you submit to management journals, they will typically ask for it to be in APA format. That means that it's very consistent. There's no fancy formatting. And that means that it's much easier for the magazine to typeset. Once they accept it, they can very easily and quickly typeset it and get it into the publication. That also means that all those beautiful and pretty things that you might want to put in a document, you probably shouldn't, because that doubles their work to try and get it into typesetting, and it also reduces any chance of you getting published if they ask for it to be in APA format and you don't send it that way. The APA manual itself is the Bible on how to write and write formal writing, and there's an accompanying website which is apastyle.org, which has a lot more of the more current things, especially electronic sources. First chapter really talks about why you do research, how to do research. It talks about the correct way to do things to protect the innocent, to do ethical writing, and it also ethical research. And there's two full chapters, chapters 6 and 7, that are devoted to the sources, how to designate the sources, how to represent them in the references, and how to cite them correctly within the paper or the tables. The key thing is that you always need to indicate the sources of your facts and figures. Where did you get the information from? Otherwise, you're stealing the idea from other people. Now, if you rewrite it into your own words, you took a whole magazine and condensed it into a paragraph. If you rewriting completely in your own words, paraphrasing, then you still need to give credit. But if you take literal quotes, you need to cite it in quotes, or block quote if it's longer than 40 words. So you got to specifically indicate where you got your information and cite it correctly, or rewrite it and still cite it. Those are something to keep in mind and make sure that you accomplish that. That means that many of your paragraphs will have quote citations in them. A picture is worth 1,000 words, of course, and the APA manual, starting on page 41, has two sample documents, pretty formal. They have a lot of tables and stuff in them, but pretty formal documents. You can just glance through, especially look at the reference page, and then that's a good visual of what your references should look like. And those same documents and more are also available on the APA Style website, so you can get a soft copy of them as well. So basically you want to do good research. You want to do research, analysis that expands the boundaries of knowledge and that presents existing information in a precise, concise way that leads to logical and good conclusions. Now, in terms of actual doing real research, you want to make sure and protect the human subjects, of course, so there's ethics in the way you do research, and use proper protocols, of course, in writing and documentation of them. In the end, you want to come up with information that can be used well and wisely. Information is a powerful tool, so use it well and wisely. And basically you want to make everyone proud. You, the college in which you're associated with, the company in which you're doing the research, and the final results of anything that's done with that analysis. Please find this and many other writing tips and tricks, especially some stuff by Dr. Cheryl Lentz, at tinyurl/sharedstuffs. So the last letter is a Z, sharedstuffs at tinyurl.com. The facts, ma'am, just the facts. There's a really couple fun soundtracks available on YouTube. One is Dragonet, not Dragnet, and another is Little Blue Riding Hood. Both of them are spoofs. So the final word is, when you're doing research, do good research and do it well. Use the best facts possible. Clearly show where the facts come from. Leave the breadcrumbs so that people can follow afterwards. Employ sound logic. Use strong analysis and come to clean and clear conclusions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
It's funny. The words that made Sergeant Friday so famous, "The facts, ma'am, just the facts," were never spoken by the actor Jack Webb. Turns out that the closest he ever came was to say, "All we want are the facts, ma'am." Do good, sound research. When you organize it, document it well, there should never be an issue as to who wrote what, when, where. It should be very conspicuous and should be very clear, as should your findings and the logical conclusions.